But now I want to get into the ins and outs of Seirra, how you got started on your small business journey. So let's go ahead and get to this Inspire interview. So the Inspire interview, the community highlight that everyone is seeing is my talk in depth. So where you get to hear behind the scenes of how we in small business really take that next step, because there's a lot of times that we talk about, oh, I think I may want to do this, but how we actually get there is so different for everybody. And so I know I find it encouraging when I talk to my family, my friends, associates about how they got started and how they're continuing, which is why I really wanted to be able to do this. So again, Seirra, thank you for being here with us. Yeah. So let's go ahead and start into this interview. So our first question, and this is all about getting to know you and your business. How did you get started with Nicely Placed Organizing? How did you get into professional organizing? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Since I was little, I will say that organizing has always been a part of who I am. It's always been something that I've enjoyed doing. I vividly remember times where I would organize the room that I shared with my sister and actually set aside some time to be able to organize my side and her side, and be able, so that I can be able to like breathe and live within the space better. And so really, when I was younger, I wanted to work within like interior design, into the interior design industry. And so it's funny that it's kind of like I'm circling back around to where I'm doing something similar to that. And so during the pandemic, one of my cousins was getting her closet organized by her best friend. And that led me basically to have a light bulb go off in my head that was like, oh, I love organizing and I've always wanted to start a business. And so I was like, why not go ahead and do that? Go ahead and start organizing, sharing a gift that I have with people who need the services. And so from there, I went ahead and started doing research in terms of what that process would be like, what the professional organizing industry looks like, how do I just get involved with that, and set everything up to start my business and be able to take the next steps to keep going. And then I got connected eventually with a networking group online through Facebook, and that became my community, my accountability group in a sense, to keep me accountable and help me be able to learn things about business and entrepreneurship that I didn't know, and just be able to take those next steps to keep growing.
Yes, I love that. And I know that's something that you also mentioned in your questionnaire, is being able to have that accountability system, and that support system is so huge, because I was speaking with someone in our previous interviews about how being able to sit and having those conversations, soundboarding, and being able to bounce ideas, it really can help you to have the confidence to take the step. So with that too, were your family and your friends some of the first people? I know you mentioned being able to do your organizing at home, but was that some of the first people that you had as clients as well, or did you branch out earlier into that?
Yeah, so I did have family and friends who were my first clients, and I'm super thankful for them. Some of them are still repeat clients today. And so without just having that support, I guess I don't know where I would be in a sense in terms of my business. So I'm super thankful to be able to have that support.
We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Friends.
More than we may say.
More than we may say. Oh my gosh. My family and friends are a huge reason behind why I started this in general. So I love that. And 1000% empathize and sympathize with everything you're saying, because it really does make a difference. So tell us too about why you feel, and I guess more so too, or let me go back. And I don't think this is one of the ones that I gave you, but what's the difference for professional organizing versus just, cleaning up a space or making somewhere neat? Like, where does that added step come in?
Yeah, that's a good question. So professional organizing is more of the piece of actually going through a space and assessing how to declutter, how to create more structure, how to be able to bring about a space that's going to be able to be sustained in the long run. So cleaning, for example, also contains different like cleaning products, different things different chemicals or different products that you need to be able to like wipe down surfaces, for example, or wipe down like mop a floor, things like that. So it's a little bit different. In organizing, you don't necessarily have to use additional products. Organizing is more of, I would even go as far as saying it's more of a mental aspect in a sense, when it comes to being able to have a space that fits what your personality, your lifestyle, your needs are going to be best with working for, in a sense, so that you can be able to take care of other higher priorities, other things that are more important in life. If your space is cluttered, your mind is also cluttered usually. They're both like, they're synonymous. They're a reflection of one another. And so to be able to go into your space and have a peaceful mind means that you've done something to be able to keep that space looking structured and looking well put together.
Yes, that's such a great point. And I know one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is why organization in the home was so important. You just touched on that, but in business as well. I know a lot of people went to working remote and things like that. I work remote as well. And I know some days it's where I have to be out of the house. Some days it's where I'm in the house. So in having that separate space for your home office per se, or your business where you're at your business, what are some of the things that makes that space function better, especially on the business side?
So just to make sure I'm understanding your question correctly. So to be able to, are you asking, in order to function within business well, what are some things that you need to be able to have in that space to help you do that?
Yes.
Okay, got you. So really, I'm old fashioned. I'll say a notebook and a pen and a heartbeat. But
I agree. Old fashioned here too. You gotta be able to pen and paper sometimes. I agree. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes we overthink the things that we need to have in a space, because like a notebook and a pen can take you very far. But of course, with everything being digital, also having your computer, being able to just make sure that you have a space that's designated to what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to get done. So let's take for example, someone who maybe has like a candle business. So they're gonna have a space where they need to have a desk or an open space where they can actually pour in the wax into the containers that they're using to be able to sell, but they also need a storage place to be able to store those containers until they're getting ready to use it. So whatever your business is, being able to have spaces that you designate for everything that you know that you'll need within your business.
Right. And that's how you stay away from the clutter developing, correct? Because you're not bringing in a bunch of additional things that don't actually apply to what it is that you're trying to get done throughout the day. And I know I'll use myself, for example. I work with people that are in many different careers many different types of businesses. So I have a chef that I work with versus a person that does a podcast versus, there's several different things. So I know a lot of times my brain, like you were saying too, that really made sense for me, because it's like you can easily go in several different directions.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you have like all of this random stuff. So I think that's like such a good thing to remember for home and for businesses, making sure whatever it is that you bring into your space, it makes sense for you to be able to use it on a regular basis and function. I know like de-influencing is like a huge thing in bringing about decluttering, but it's like we're constantly told a lot of times that we need, but a lot of it doesn't actually help us to do anything productive.
Right.
So, are there things that you feel like is just a staple for a business owner? I know you're just saying, that you want to make sure that it pertains to your business, but I'm with you too, old fashioned pen and paper, but is anything like, let's say you have your home office, is there like a particular setup that you feel is like a staple for a business or a business owner to have in that home office?
Yeah. I would say for sure a desk somewhere that you can be able to either sit, like either if you're someone who likes to stand up, an adjustable desk. If you just don't mind sitting down, a desk and a chair, being able to have some type of like either file cabinet or a storage portion of your desk so that you can be able to store different papers and different important files that you want to return to quickly and maybe frequently or just when you need to grab it. And then I'd also say a printer. That is, of course, something that you're going to need if you're constantly printing things out that you need to either sell or that you, say, for example, flyers that you're trying to pass out to people or just paper in general that you need for your business that you need to be printing. To have a printer is also a good thing, a good staple.
And let me ask you this too, because I feel like this may be a matter of preference, but I'm going to ask you because of you understanding the mental side behind the space too. Do you feel like it's necessary or very important for people to have a separate space to work in as their office versus just, room? I know I've had my computer set up in my room before versus having it set up in a different part of the house. So do you feel like it's just a preference thing, like mentally for how you best work? Or, if you're able to have a separate space, is it better to have a separate space?
I would personally say it's a personal thing. It's a personal preference. I have my desk set up within like my same space pretty much. And I know some people who do the same and they just separate it using like maybe a cloth that they can hang on. I know someone who has like a rod that she hangs like a sheet over. And it's pretty much, it creates like a separation in a sense. And your mind doesn't really like know any better. If you see it, then it's going to separate it. So yeah, I would say it's a personal preference. It all boils down to how disciplined you are, and how well you know yourself enough to know that you're not gonna, like, say your desk is in your bedroom, how well you know yourself enough to where you're not gonna just go to bed or just lay down versus like going and doing what you know you're supposed to do. So it's personal preference to me.
Great. That's a great thing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I know we're kind of jumping around a bit. I want to talk to you too about you spoke on whenever you started as a professional organizer. What would you say to someone who is considering or wondering if that's something that they would be able to transition to as a career or start as a career?
Yeah, I would definitely say do your research. See how many other professional organizers are already in your area, so that you can be able to gain more information about whether it's going to be profitable, beneficial to be able to start this type of business, because you don't really want to. Starting a business is not. It can be budget friendly, but it can also be costly. And so you don't want to get yourself into a situation where you're starting your business and you're putting out more money than you're getting back. And that's just the way that it continues to go. Like you're not making anything from it. So you want to be able to know that you have the opportunity to be profitable. So definitely do research, market research. And then I would also say if you get past that stage and then you're able to go forward with being a professional organizer, I would say to pick a niche. Figure out what it is you want to build your business on, because in order to get to a place where if you want to keep the business to where you want to scale it eventually, it would definitely be important to have a niche, because as a professional organizer, it is, in a sense, labor work. You are doing something that requires your physical labor. And until you figure out how to create things outside of that physical labor, then you're basically an employee again, and you basically have a job. So yeah, that niche definitely is going to be helpful with figuring out how to scale the business properly to where, again, you're working outside of the business, working more on the business than you are in it. So
that makes a lot of sense. So what would be like, or what are some of the more well-known niche parts of professional organizing that people could get into?
Yeah. More well-known niches, I will say I've seen a lot of professional organizers and know some personally who take the approach of being a consultant for other professional organizers. And so what they do is they have had so much experience within the industry to the point where they go forward and start offering workshops, printables, different master classes, different resources to help professional organizers get to where they are now, or to where to basically next stages where they want to be. So that would be an approach that is most popular at this moment within the industry.
Yes. Okay. So, and I know like niche is one of those, I'm really glad that you hit on that, because niche is one of those words that I feel like is thrown around, and a lot of times it's like you get caught in, oh, I have to be limited, but it really is just making sure it works. It's what works best for you and your business. So if it's something, and I know whenever I started in virtual assistants, I had to give myself within that first year to decide on some of the things that I really, not only just enjoy, but really thrived at. And I feel like, especially if you're a person, you don't, like you said, you don't want it to become where you're an employee and it's like, oh, yeah, I don't like doing this. I don't like doing this. So, yeah, I think that's such a great point, especially once you've had a chance to be able to get into everything and understand what it is like. I think that's great. So let's see what else we have. So something that you've moved into also is doing your podcast. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Organizing Untold is my podcast that I post.
It's okay. Check it out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, Facebook, and also I feel like I'm missing on LinkedIn. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn currently. I am at the moment taking a break, but it'll be starting up soon again. So if you are someone who would like to be a guest, definitely reach out and we can talk about that more. But to explain the podcast itself, it is a podcast for busy business owners and people who work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., helping them be able to become confident with organizing. So I do that by bringing on guests who are in those categories, who already feel confident within their organizing journey, and they talk about their journey, how they got to where they are now, where they at one point were, what are some organizing tips that they use. And the last week of each month, what I did was also bring on a guest who didn't feel confident in their organizing journey. And we had the chance of just going through and sitting down, talking about why they felt like where they were, and why they felt not as confident, and just giving them the opportunity to ask questions on what it looks like to become more confident and to become more organized. So it was, in a sense, a mini consultation almost. And so those are live now. Well, not live, but those are up on YouTube. That would be the best place to watch them right now. So
okay,
yeah, I love my podcast. I am excited to get ready to start again. This time they won't be live. They'll be pre-recorded, but yeah, definitely excited for that.
Listen, I will tell you guys some behind the scenes stuff. This is going to be a one that's premiering, and I'm leaning to stay in with you. I think pre-recorded is the way to go, but that's just me for right now. So definitely make sure you go and check out her YouTube, the podcast, and we're going to have everything linked for you guys. So make sure that you go and check that out. And Seirra, one other thing that I want to talk about with you as far as your business is what you specialize in. And you mentioned being able to do virtual consultations and everything like that too. So tell us a little bit about your services and some of the things that people can look forward to whenever they book with you.
Yeah, so I offer in-person organizing services or I should say Nicely Placed Organizing. My business offers in-person organizing services and also virtual organizing services. So the in-person comes with a consultation, and then we get started in terms of organizing your space physically. That consultation piece can either be an in-person walkthrough if you live in the Charlotte area, or we can do a virtual or phone consultation call and be able to set up what that'll look like to get the in-person session started. With virtual organizing, it's similar to having an in-person organizing session, but it's more so for people who know that they are able to organize on their own and they know that they want to do the organizing themselves, but they don't exactly know where to start. And so with the virtual organizing piece, that allows people to book a session for us to talk about either how to maximize and how to best organize their space, what different organizing products and bins we would recommend and suggest that they add to the space to add more structure, and then also organizing tips that are going to help them be able to save time in the long run. With those sessions, there is an additional piece as well. So there's an opportunity to still have check-ins. So after that virtual organizing session, we can then go back each month, be able to check in with you, hold you accountable, be your accountability partner in a sense to make sure that you're meeting your organizing goals and staying on top of what organizing looks like, making different adjustments if we need to make those adjustments. So, yeah.
Awesome. So you all should definitely be checking these things out. I know you just touched on like a spring, it was a spring series that you did, right? Kind of cleaning and going into the summer. I think I saw that correctly or something like that. Organized.
Maybe not a spring series. I did recently do an organizing series where it was a green and tidy series. I'm not sure if that's what you're.
I think that's what I saw. Yes. I'm like, I know I saw. I know I saw. Actually, let me double check.
No, you're good. I can.
For your garage organizing, I think that's what I
saw. Oh, yeah. So I did organize garages, but I did talk about organizing garages recently, and so I did a post on that recently where I shared like some before and afters of a garage that we recently organized. But that is definitely something to get done for the summertime, to be able to, of course, park your cars in your garage, but also for the times where you have like a cookout and you have family over. You want to be able to open the garage and be able to just sit there and just chill out outside. And that's why summer garage organizing is necessary.
Right, because raise your hand if you can't pull your car into the garage because you have stuff randomly. It's fine. If you do, we're not judging. We're just saying go see her tips so you can get it organized. That's all we're saying. Okay, but do that.
Yeah,
because it's blazing right now. But yes, I remember seeing that. Well, I am so excited. You guys, if you check out the website too, HeyBelleChrista.com, we're going to have her full interview and everything like that. I know we're going to talk about some tips quickly, but you also mentioned, and I want to make sure I get to this too, a couple of people that you have in your network. So I just wanted to shout out, this is Verde Tribe.
Yeah.
Tribe. We have Home Studios. We have In the Nick of Time services. And then also you had a couple others that you mentioned. This was CLT Tours. That's for Charlotte. And then JJ Skin is
in Charlotte.
In Charlotte too.
She is a brow specialist.
Brow specialist.
Like
okay.
brow tinting, things of that nature.
Got you. So if you're any of those, we'll make sure we tag you. But we love, like we mentioned, a great network, a great support system. So make sure you check out all of these people. And you can be able to get some more information.